Hey guys, Lightning Reviews here, and today I'm reviewing the Boo saga of Dragon Ball Z. Hope you enjoy. This arc has a completely different tone from the previous, at least at the start. It feels a lot more casual than others. Gohan being protagonist is a really interesting concept, and I hope they don't waste it. But Gohan going to school is a kind of interesting thing, but it's different compared to other things that happen in DBZ. Things like this make the tone a lot different. I think in this first volume we get a really great introduction to Vidal's character. We see her first at a crime scene where Gohan is, and then she fights crime later on. She's portrayed as tenacious and hot-headed, similar to other girl characters, but the exact opposite to Gohan, making their interactions a lot more entertaining and interesting. The school portion is a bit iffy depending on how you see it, but it does lower the tension after the Sour Games, but in that it could feel a bit jarring for some. Now I want to talk about Goten and Trunks. Them having Super Saiyan feels to me like a devaluing of an already declining in importance form. Trunks and Vegeta training was fun to watch, especially as Trunks hit him. The Tenkaichi Budokai was a nice callback and a way to bring fighters we love together. We get another nice callback with the announcer. Goten's first reaction to seeing his father was neat, but needed way more focus. From the way Trunks and Goten fight shows difference. Goten consistently bows, showing a sign of respect, and how he was raised, opposed to Trunks, who's a lot more taunting, a bit like Vegeta. She was instantly made to seem like an interesting character, though through design and portrayal. Vidal's fight with Spopovich was a savage showing of his nature. We know Shin's importance before it's said due to the character's reaction when meeting him. The tournament so far hasn't felt tense except for Vidal's fight. It's been fun comparatively to the Cell, Saiyan and Frieza sagas, but a overarching plot has been introduced to stop Majin Buu's awakening. Now I've got some complaints. First, Bobbidi and his minions all suck. Like, they have literally no personality. They are just fights with his minions. They're a series of shell fights, they have no substance, and nothing to really hook you. Just people, punching each other. It feels just like filler. They have cool designs, but that's kind of it. The tournament section was just kind of unnecessary. It felt like bloating for an already bloated arc. It was kind of funny, but that's kind of it. Now let's talk about Vegeta's reality. Vegeta was once a proud, the strong, the brutal Saiyan prince, conqueror of worlds. That was once his reality though. His current reality is one of a family man. He has a wife and a kid. He's grown softer and he hates this. He hates Goku as he represents this change in Vegeta. He's frustrated. He sees these changes as making him weak. Something he doesn't want to be. That's why he accepts Bobidi's control, just to be stronger than Goku. Something he hates to do, but that's how desperate he is. It's summed up by this quote: "I wanted to be this way, the way I used to be. I wanted the ruthless and cold-blooded Saiyan." Vegeta's finally awoke to his new reality of a family man, and he hates it. The change in him was more visible to the viewer than him. When he went into a rage when Cell supposedly killed Trunks, him even having a family represents this change, and he can't accept this. So he accepts Bobidi's potential unlock to feel the way he used to. To do this, he kills many in the stadium to feel this way. Now let's talk about Boo. Boo, at the very least, is different. The other villains were proudly evil and sadistic, but Boo has more of a childish feel to him, unlike the other villains' sophisticated feel. Boo's a lot more fun comparatively to them, in a way. His design is also very different. Now Vegeta's sacrifice. Goku in the fight points out Vegeta's care for his family, as he tries to deny it, but gives in. At this moment he accepts this, he accepts he cares about his family, he accepts he has compassion, and accepts he has a family which he cares about and will sacrifice everything for. In a heart-touching scene, he hugs Trunks for the first time, Trunks not knowing what's about to happen next. Vegeta knocks out Trunks and then does it. This generally was very sad. I love how the other characters mourn for him, showing that others have formed a connection with him, which adds another side to the story. Super Saiyan 3 kinda sucks though. It comes out of nowhere. It didn't have the foreshadowing Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2, nor the emotional weight of it either. It just came from nowhere. It solidifies itself as one of the worst transformations in DBZ, at least on the emotional side. I only think it has better is the design. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about Boo. He doesn't have the feel of a threat like Frieza and Cell, but he's a generally fun villain like Frieza and Cell. His relationship with Mr. Satan is cute, but Boo feels like a kid with too much power. He's easily influenced and does what's most fun to a fault. It's kind of a mess. He's also represented as an intimidating villain when he kills, but not in his casual moments. Whether you like him is very much based on your own interpretation, but on the other hand, it's cool to have a different feeling for a villain compared to the balls of evil of previous arcs. One moment I loved was the one where Goku hugged Goten. I just felt it was very heartwarming and sweet. I really wish we had more moments like this. Then a second Skinny Boo appears and eats Fat Boo. Then Buff Boo appears. This was really weird and came out of just nowhere, and only served to confuse the viewer. This isn't just an isolated incident. Stuff like this happens a lot, like Super Saiyan 3. It has no purpose but to make Boo more intimidating, like Frieza and Cell. I hate this. Pick what kind of character you want Boo to have and stick with it. Boo's fight with Gotenks was overly long and childish. It makes sense to be childish due to both combatants, but it got old, fast, and less enjoyable. This story in general feels silly and childish, which at the start is refreshing compared to the 10 Cell games, but when it's like this, it's really just not fun. Goten's power boost also really sucked. It goes against the philosophy of Dragon Ball. The Potara earrings feel out of nowhere. Even though I love Fusion, it really just came out of nowhere, but wasn't too bad. Like a lot of things in this arc, like the older Lord of Lords being trapped in the Z-Sword, and being able to unlock potentials, and being able to give Goku his life. Vegeta actually was pretty fun to watch fight Boo, but it's really weird that Vegeta can enter Boo and rip out the absorbed people. It wasn't foreshadowed or anything, it just came out of nowhere. Then they defused because of magic air in Boo. This was stupid. Boo spitting out Boo was weird. Then they used the Genki Dama to kill Boo. Why didn't they do this earlier? Literally no one thought of this before the arc was blown up. This just served to blow the arc for no apparent reason, and it makes it a slog to read. This arc didn't need to be this long. You could take 2 volumes out of the arc and it would only make it better, to be honest. Boo's character got changed a lot, and he was just a mess. You couldn't connect with Boo though. Like, I think Fat Boo is the best because he felt the most connectable. But when he keeps changing to all these different personas and stuff, you can't connect with a single one. Like with Cell, whilst Cell had a changing appearance, his personality didn't switch too much. Maybe he had very minor changes between his forms, and Frieza had no changes between his forms. His personality was consistently sadistic and sophisticated, which allowed you to connect with both characters. But here you can't exactly do the same with Boo, which makes him a lot less of a good villain. But I did love Vegeta's character more than I ever had, because we had a lot more fleshing out of his character in this one compared to other arcs. In other arcs, it had a really good setup for his character, but here it was fully realised and made you connect with Vegeta's character a lot more here. And what was so good about his sacrifice is that you could see it kind of coming, to be honest. You could see his change that he didn't realise over the sagas. In the Frieza saga, he paired up with his enemies. In the Cell saga, it was a massive change and he had a family. And then in the Buu saga, he sacrificed himself, realising this and accepting this. I actually kind of love Vegeta's character in this one. And then, really, I think in general, it's one of the worst arcs in Dragon Ball. Mainly because it felt mishandled and a mess. He had a lot of different stuff happening, and it just got really tangled up. A lot of things came out of nowhere, which I don't like. Okay, Potara earrings weren't too bad. They came out of nowhere, but Fusion was already being introduced. The viewers was already kind of adapting to Fusion being a part of the Dragon Ball lore. But the Elder Kai really did suck. Like, it'd been a lot cooler if Gohan came to Earth with the Z Sword and started beating up Boo. That'd been a lot more cool than, like, his potential being unlocked. Yeah, it had some really memorable moments, though, such as both fusions and the Earth for the first time, at least I believe it's the first time, being blown up. Like, to my recollection, that hasn't happened once. Boo's like the first villain to have actually blown up the Earth, which is a really cool thing. And yeah, I don't think I've got much else to say on this. This was my review of the Boo saga. Hope you enjoyed. Any critiques? Put them in the comments. Bye.